The hallway of the Hope Springs Animal Shelter is a place of endless noise, but inside Kennel 42, there is only a heavy, suffocating silence. On the gate hangs a faded yellow card that has been updated every single morning for 912 days. While other dogs bark, jump, and plead for attention, the large shadow in the corner does not move. He has watched thousands of faces pass by, and he has learned that for a dog like him, hope is a dangerous thing to hold on to. Visitors often pause, read the number of days, shake their heads in pity, and then walk away to find a younger, louder puppy. They see a dog who has given up, a dog whose ribs are starting to show because he has stopped greeting his food bowl with interest. But everything is about to change because of a small girl who does not care about the noise. She is looking for the one thing everyone else has missed. The dog is named Bartholomew, a massive mixture of breeds with eyes the color of old amber. After 912 days in captivity, he has become a master of invisibility. He does not lunge at the bars or whimper. He simply exists as a ghost in a concrete box. The shelter staff, led by a kind woman named Gwendolyn, have tried everything to spark his spirit, but Bartholomew remains shut down. Then there is Serafina, a 7-year-old girl with a quietness that matches the dog. Serafina does not speak. Following a difficult event in her early childhood, she retreated into a world of silence, communicating only through the intensity of her gaze and the way she tilts her head to listen to things others ignore. Her parents brought her to the shelter not to find a pet, but because they hoped the presence of animals might help her feel less alone in her own stillness. Serafina carries a heavy weight of isolation, and her heart is a locked room that no one has found the key to, until she reaches the very end of the row. It was a Tuesday morning when Serafina's class visited the shelter. While the other children crowded around the golden retriever puppies, screaming and pointing, Serafina walked past the chaos. She moved like someone following a faint signal only she could hear. When she reached Kennel 42, she stopped. She did not flinch at the smell of damp concrete or the distant sound of metal gates rattling. Bartholomew, who usually kept his back turned to the world, felt a change in the air. He did not hear a voice, but he felt a presence that was as steady as a heartbeat. Serafina sat down on the hard floor right outside his bars. She did not try to reach in or wave treats. She simply sat and waited. For the first time in 912 days, Bartholomew stood up without being prompted by a leash or a food bowl. He walked to the gate with slow, stiff steps and pressed his large, graying muzzle against the cold steel. Serafina did not pull away. She leaned her forehead against the other side of the bars, and for 10 minutes, the entire shelter seemed to fall silent around them. Gwendolyn, the shelter manager, watched the security camera footage with tears in her eyes. She knew Bartholomew's history, a story of loyalty that had been met with sudden abandonment. He had once belonged to an elderly clockmaker who lived in a house full of ticking sounds and quiet music. When the clockmaker passed away unexpectedly, Bartholomew had stayed by his side for 3 days until the door was finally opened. He had been a protector who failed to protect the one person he loved. Since arriving at the shelter, he was not just waiting for a home. He was mourning a life that vanished in an afternoon. This was why he remained silent. He believed that if he made no noise, the world could not hurt him again. Serafina's silence came from a similar place of protection. She had seen the world be loud and unkind, and she chose to keep her words safe inside where they could not be rejected. 2 broken hearts were recognizing their own reflection through the bars of a kennel, and for the first time the pain began to feel a little lighter. The healing did not happen in a single afternoon. It was built one visit at a time, through the heat of summer and the chill of autumn. Serafina's parents brought her back every single day after school. She would bring a book and sit outside Kennel 42, reading the words in her head while Bartholomew lay as close to her as the bars would allow. Slowly, the dog who had refused to eat began to finish every meal because he knew Serafina would be there to watch him. His coat began to shine again, and the vacant look in his eyes was replaced by an intelligent, watchful spark. One day, Serafina reached her small hand through the bars and rested it on Bartholomew's head. The dog closed his eyes and let out a long, trembling breath, a sound of complete surrender to a new kind of love. The staff noticed that Serafina was changing too. She began to smile at Gwendolyn and started drawing pictures of a large dog with amber eyes. She was no longer just a girl who lived in silence. She was a girl with a mission. She was the only person Bartholomew trusted, and that responsibility gave her a new kind of strength. They were no longer 2 separate beings waiting for a miracle. They were a team that had already started a miracle of their own, proving that patience is the most powerful form of medicine. The climax arrived on a stormy afternoon when the shelter's power flickered and the thunder rolled across the valley. The loud noises usually sent Bartholomew into a state of frozen terror, reminding him of the day his world fell apart. Serafina was at the shelter when the storm hit, and she saw the dog she loved beginning to spiral into fear. Without waiting for permission, she unlatched the gate of Kennel 42 and stepped inside. As the thunder crashed overhead, Bartholomew began to shake, his massive frame trembling against the concrete. Serafina did not hesitate. She wrapped her small arms around his neck and pulled his head into her lap. Then, for the first time in 3 long years, she opened her mouth. Her voice was small and raspy, like a bird finding its wings. But the words were clear. She whispered that he was safe. She told him that she was right there, and that she would never leave him in the dark. Bartholomew stopped shaking. He licked a single tear from her cheek and rested his heavy head on her shoulder. The silence had finally been broken by the only voice he had ever been waiting to hear. The paperwork was signed the very next morning. After 912 days, Bartholomew walked out of the Hope Springs animal shelter with his head held high and a new leather leash held firmly in Serafina's hand. He did not look back at the kennel that had been his home for so long. He only looked at the girl walking beside him. At home, Bartholomew became the silent guardian of the household. He sleeps at the foot of Serafina's bed, his breathing a steady rhythm that helps her sleep through the night. Serafina talks to him constantly now, telling him all the secrets she kept locked away for years. They saved each other in the way only the lonely can, by recognizing that sometimes the best way to find your own voice is to listen to the silence of another. Their journey proves that no one is ever truly broken beyond repair. They are just waiting for the right person to come and stay.